All right, so today I wanted to kind of talk about something a little different and interesting from Jason Kenney saying, in case you missed it, our MLA for Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, has introduced a private member's bill that would raise the speed limit to 120 kilometers an hour on some Alberta highways. Let me know what you think. Um, so I wanted to let people know what I think about it, and kind of talk a little bit about it. So for starters, I think when it comes to two lane, to be quite frank, I think any road that is fairly flat, fairly straight, should be increased, right? Like going 100 kilometers an hour on a straight, nice flat, two-lane road is pretty slow. Like, and same thing goes for the Trans Canada's Highway 16s. I think those are the two major double, or I guess 4-lane roads, two on each side, roads in Alberta. For those roads, again, like Highway 2, people are already going fast anyway. I guess that's the other big one, the one I missed out. But again, like Highway 2 is a little different in that I'm sure most people are aware of this, but for whatever reason, like if you go if you go like 120 on Highway 16, like hardly anyone will go by you. But if you go 120 on Highway 2, like half of people are going faster than that, maybe even more. And the Trans Canada is kind of in between. It depends where you're at. If you're closer to the mountains, people tend to slow down. But if you're outside Calgary or around there, people are usually going a little faster. But um, like I say, to me it makes no to me the speed limits are already low. And the one thing that Canadians don't really understand is that the speed limits in Canada are already pretty low compared to the rest of the world, especially when you consider like more flat, straight areas. Like, I don't think there's a country, a major country in the world, at least a first world country, because the road standards tend to be a little worse in the third world countries. Um, there isn't a country that I'm aware of that on like their primary highways, the speed limits are below 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. Which again, they don't exactly, they're not 60 miles an hour isn't exactly 100, but they're pretty much the same. But yet they are in Canada. So the one thing that Canadians don't really understand when it comes to this topic is that the speed limits in Canada are already the lowest in at least compared to the first world. Right? You go to the States in a lot of these big interstates. Um, Again, I haven't been to too many areas, but in Texas, I know I've been throughout most of there, is that most of the interstates are like 80, 85 miles an hour. And that's like 130, 140. So this is the thing people don't realize, that if we increase speed limits to 120 on Highway 2, Highway 16, and Highway the Trans Canada, it would still be lower than most of the rest of the first world, right? I mean, you got like the autobahn and stuff that I don't think there is a speed limit in for a lot of it. Um, Now, the one thing people bring up too is that, oh, higher speed limits lead to more accidents, which I don't know exactly how established that science is. You would think that the faster people are going, the more they're going to be paying attention, right? And the other very important thing that I don't think a lot of people are bringing up as well is that vehicles are becoming more and more autonomous by the year, right? We are probably 10, maybe 20 years tops away from fully self-driving vehicles. Meaning, again, like the minute that autonomous vehicles can be safer, cause less accidents than human drivers, that's when the big shift is going to happen, because vehicles technically already can pretty much drive themselves. I mean, if you have a brand new vehicle, most of them, you're on a highway, they can pretty much drive themselves. like 90, they can do pretty much everything. Not quite, but pretty much everything. Um, so again, we're very close to autonomous vehicles. So if they can, like, if they can be safer than humans, then why not increase the speed limits? And this is the other thing people don't realize too, is that if you increase speed limits, well, we're also going to make things better in a lot of ways too. Like, um, goods and services will be able to be delivered quicker, right? Not to mention, too, there'll probably be less people on the road because you'll be able to get to where you want to go quicker. So traffic should be a little bit less. So there's a lot of things that people don't bring up as well. Is that people say, oh, there's going to be more people dying, which is probably true, but I don't think it's true to the extent people think. And number two is that there's a lot of good things that are going to come of it as well, right? So you really have to balance the pros and the cons. And it's like I said, that it's only a matter of time until vehicles are self-driving anyway. So why not have higher speed limits, right? It really doesn't make any sense. And that's the other thing that's important as well, is that I think the big, like the Highway 2, Trans Canada, Highway 16, those are a little different in that they're 4-lane roads, right? They're double, right, two on each side. Those I wouldn't say for sure, but something tells me those roads have less accidents per car than like the standard 2-lane, one lane on each side highways. Because again, the only way to really get in an accident is to hit someone you're driving right beside, right? It's not the same as hitting someone head on or something along those lines. So something tells me those roads are. And the other thing too is that one of the things that causes a lot of accidents is you have the super aggressive driver meets the super conservative driver. This is what always causes those accidents in the mountains that gets traffic backed up and you got to wait like 12 hours to get out of it. I've never been in these, but I know people that have been in these. And what almost always happens is you have some really aggressive guy gets caught behind some really conservative guy and he can't get by him. And eventually he gets impatient. He goes to pass him and hits someone, right? Whether it's something or someone else. On double lane roads, well, that's not a problem because you can just pass them in the other lane. So to me, it makes no sense to not have the speed limits higher, especially getting stuff between Edmonton and Calgary. It really makes no sense. Like it should be 120. Now, the other problem too is that when it comes to speed limits, everyone always says, well, everyone's already going 120 anyway. Well, that's true, but that's partially because the government is very unclear with what is actually considered speeding. Because in theory, if you're going 111 on Highway 2, in theory they can give you a ticket for that, but they never do because if they did, they would almost everyone's going over 110. So it would you can't really enforce a law when everyone's breaking it, right? Or at least technically. So, I mean, I've heard some people say, oh, it's 10%. I've seen some people say it's you have to be going at least 11 over, some people at least 12. I was talking to someone the other day that brought this up and say they knew someone that was training to be a cop, and they said it's you have to be going at least 12 over, at least on highways. So again, I hear different numbers from different people. So what I would say is say we're raising it to 120, but we also need some universal standard for, okay, what is speeding and what isn't. Because that's the problem right now is we don't actually have a universal standard for what is actually speeding. So personally, again, I think that, again, going 110, even 120, once you get over like 125, 130, like, yeah, you're moving. Um, so again, like if people are going 125 on Highway 2, like is that excessive? 130? Like I don't think so. If someone's going 120 on, again, there's tons of these highways, but like a nice straight 2-lane road without a lot of curves that's fairly flat, like why does the speed limit need to be 100? Like that's painfully slow. So again, I don't think it should be some universal standard. I think that there should be a standard to where, I mean, number one, if a road's causing a lot of accidents, yeah, the speed limit should be probably not raised. But if there isn't a disproportionate amount of accidents, why not raise the speed limit and see what happens? Because if you can raise the speed limit and the amount the accidents per, it wouldn't be per capita, but you know, there would be a calculation, you know, the amount of people that drive it on average, so on and so forth. If the percentage of accidents doesn't go up, or it only goes up a very small amount, then why would you not want to raise it? Like, to me, it makes no sense. And this is something that should be very simple too. Like, why can't the government just say, okay, we're going to raise the speed limit, but if accidents go up too significantly, whatever they want to set that number at, then we're going to move it back down. I don't see why they can't do that. And this should be the mark of an innovative society, is that innovative societies are ones that try stuff like that. To me, it makes no sense as a society when we're going to make these decisions, we have to be 100% in one direction or the other. We got to be way off to the left or way off to the right, or way off to one end of the spectrum or way off to the other end of the spectrum. Why does it have to be? It seems to be the average person's opinion on this stuff is we got to raise speed limits on all the highways and never ever consider changing them again, or we have to just not raise speed limits on any highways. To me, it makes absolutely no sense. Why not be like, okay, we're going to raise it on Highway 16, on Highway 2, and the Trans Canada, and some select other highways. Again, there's a lot of them. The two-lane ones that are fairly straight, fairly flat, without a lot of curves, and see how things go. If the amount of accidents goes up disproportionately, we're going to lower it back down. I don't see why they can't do that. Like, to me, that's a simple solution. And it should please everybody. The people that don't want it raised, it should please them. Because if we can raise speed limits and still have a comparable amount of accidents, then you're absolutely and utterly insane to not want to raise speed limits. And it should please the other people as well, right? So to me, it's a win-win to do that. But that's too logical for government. Government tends to be the all or nothing approach, and we can never admit we're wrong, and we can never change things and all that stuff. So to me, if I had to guess, I kind of doubt this stuff will go through because we have a lot of stupid people out there. But um, to me, that would be the best approach. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you check out those links below. Um, Follow me on those other platforms. If you want to donate, you could do that as well. Again, I would very much appreciate whatever support I can get. But like I said, check out those links and stay tuned for more.